Hey guys, so I'm finally doing my review for the Makeup Geek eyeshadows that you guys have been requesting and waiting for. And I've finally done enough testing. I've put these through the ringer where I'm comfortable enough to give a full overview of all these eyeshadows. And I will have full swatches also posted, and I'll leave a link below too, so you can just click that link and it will go straight to the swatches. But otherwise, I'm going to do what I always do with my reviews. I'm going to run through the pros, the cons, the packaging, everything for these eyeshadows. So let's just jump right into it. So I kind of want to make a little disclaimer before we start this review. I am trying to make this review as unbiased as possible. So you're going to hear the good, the bad, and the ugly about this brand. And as you guys know, I love Marlena and I love Makeup Geek. And Makeup Geek, when they had the forums, that's where I started and that's where I developed my love for makeup. And Nikki Tutorials can probably tell you too, because that's where she started when she was 14. She would post her looks. We all have this sentimental attachment to Makeup Geek, and I love seeing it grow and blossom into what it is today, and seeing the success that Marlena is getting, because she does deserve it and she works very hard. And I wanted to get that out before I started because I wanted to be very transparent and honest, as I always am with my reviews. I'm gonna say a lot of things that people may not like or agree with because there is such a loyalty to Makeup Geek, and I myself have that loyalty, and some of the things that I have to say pain me a little bit, they hurt me a little bit, but I have to say it because I have to be completely honest with you guys. So just be mindful of that going into the review. So let's just get into it right now. All right? Let's just jump into it. So just a quick overview of the brand. Makeup Geek was developed by Marlena and her business partner Nick, and they ran Makeup Geek for many years before they started developing their own products. And she has a great team under her wings now, and she's growing and growing and booming. And the company has grown so much in the last couple of years that I'm quite proud of her. I must say I'm very proud. And it's a US based company, so when you invest in purchase from Makeup Geek, you are making an investment and contributing to the US economy, which is great. And I think that's great that Marlena is employing people in the US and you know, adding to the job market. So that is a absolute plus. And another key thing to the Makeup Geek brand is that their products are cruelty-free and not tested on animals. So that is a big thing to Marlena. She is all about being cruelty-free and keeping her company US based. So if you're looking to invest in makeup that is cruelty free and that's something that means a lot to you, this is definitely a brand to check out. And the eyeshadows are also talc and paraben free. So if those are ingredients that you're sensitive towards or you just don't want in your products, then these are eyeshadows that you should definitely check out. And there's a full ingredient list on her website as well that you can check out the full list of ingredients to check out if there are any ingredients that you may be sensitive to or that you just don't want in your products. She has a full disclosure of the ingredients on the website, so I'll leave a link below so you can check out the ingredient list. So let's talk about the pricing of these products. Each eyeshadow comes in a little pan, and they are $5.99 each for each eyeshadow, and they contain 1.8 grams of product or 0.064 ounces, which is a little bit larger than the typical eyeshadow on the market or the typical smaller pan eyeshadows on the market, which are 0.05 ounces. So that would be MAC eyeshadows or Urban Decay eyeshadows. So these are slightly larger, contain the slightly more product than your typical smaller sized eyeshadows on the market. The eyeshadows also used to be available in a pot, so a little black pot like this. They were available as singles for $7.99 each, so you're paying $2 extra for the little pot. These have since been removed and they're now being redesigned. They're not available right now in singles, but in the future she's redesigned the packaging and it will be available in singles again for $7.99, and I think there will be a price increase of $1 each, so these might actually be bumped up to $8.99 each, and the pans themselves are being bumped up to $6.99 each. They're currently available for purchase on the Makeup Geek website, so makeupgeek.com. You can find them for purchase there. They also ship worldwide, so if you're interested in grabbing these products but you're in a foreign country, don't worry about it. They do ship to your country, so just check out the website for the details on the price for the shipping, but they will ship these to you. So worldwide, you can get your hands on Makeup Geek products. Now, one thing I've personally experienced is really poor shipping. They have delayed shipping and I don't get products for 2 to 3 weeks at a time, which is due somewhat to the constant influx of orders that they have. And when they have a launch and there's a huge influx of orders, they have a huge backlog of shipments and it takes days for them to actually ship out the products on the front end. So you're gonna experience a delay in orders. Some people have actually said they haven't had any issues. They've gotten their orders really quickly. I personally, and I have to say it's from my personal experience, I haven't experienced any quick shipment from Makeup Geek. I haven't gotten email notices of, you know, delays in my shipping. I've just had to wait 2 to 3 weeks for my orders, which drives me nuts, especially when there's no update that's keeping me posted, hey, we have a delay or a backlog or something. Now in my recent order on the website itself, it actually has a little spiel about the backlog of orders, 2 to 3 days of orders. But to me, even if you have a 3-day backlog on your orders going out, I still shouldn't wait 3 weeks for an order. So that to me is something that they definitely need to work on, and they are working on it as they're getting staff, but that drove me nuts waiting for my order and not knowing where it was, especially since I was already charged for it. One thing that I forgot to mention that is definitely worth mentioning is the availability of products and when products go out of stock. I find that with this company, it's a new up-and-coming company, so I'm going to give it, you know, a little bit of leeway, but they do have a lot of troubles keeping stock of items, especially popular items. A lot of them go out of stock and then they take months to actually restock, and that really annoys me, and it annoyed the hell out of me when I was trying to get all the shades so I could do this video. I literally had to wait months for the last 6 shades that I was waiting on because they were out of stock for months, literally months. So keep that in mind. If there's a shade that you're interested in that is a popular shade that goes out of stock, you're gonna probably have to wait a while before it actually comes back into stock and you're able to purchase it. Just one of those things that they need to work on. It's all about logistics and keeping your inventory up with your demand. It's one of those nuances of a business and getting the hang of it and figuring out how your business actually runs day to day. So something that they need to work on, but it's, again, something that is a problem with up-and-coming new companies. And another thing that bothers me about that is that they've released new products such as blushes and now the new foiled eyeshadows, and they're so focused on getting new products out to market, but they're not focusing on like the baseline and making sure that the bread and butter is together. So it irks me a little bit more because of that fact that they're focused on new things, but yet you can't keep your original items in stock. So, you know, just something to note, you know. Now the packaging is pretty simple, pretty basic. They come in little sleeves of pink, black, and white. That's the theme. And all the product information is on the actual packaging. They have a little protective sleeve on the inside, and then you have your eyeshadow pan. This packaging, I like it, but it's not the most secure because there's no real padding around the eyeshadow itself, so it can get damaged in shipping, but it's not a big deal. They package really well in bubble wrap, so when they come to you, they're not going to be smashed, or I haven't had any smashed, but because they're not really super padded or super protected, be mindful that you might get damaged products, but I'm sure they'll replace it. Anyway, the eyeshadows come in little pans like this, and they have the Makeup Geek label on the bottom with the product information, the size, and the actual eyeshadow name. So since the eyeshadows come in pan form, you're going to need an empty palette to fit these in, and they do sell Z palettes on their website to pop these guys in. They are steel pans, or they're steel alloy pans, so they will stick to a magnetized palette such as a Z palette. But if you're going to stick them in a palette that isn't already magnetized, you're going to need to put magnets on the back of them. So if you're going to use, say, a matte palette for this, you're going to need to stick magnets either in the palette itself or on the backs of the eyeshadows. And Z palettes can get a little pricey. My Z palette here is the Pro Z palette, which holds 35 of the Makeup Geek eyeshadows. As you can see, I have them all snugly fit here, but the palette itself was $28. So you're gonna spend additional money to actually have a palette to put these eyeshadows in. So add that to the cost of the eyeshadows themselves. And there are various sizes of Z palettes on the market. On the Makeup Geek website, they have the small Z palette, which is kind of similar to this one. This is a Sephora Z palette, which is a little bit more pricey, but the typical small Z palette holds 9 of the eyeshadows, and this retails for $15. So you're adding another $1.50 to each eyeshadow just to have a place to put them. The large Z palette is a little bit smaller than this, and that's $20 for it. It holds 27 of the eyeshadows. So again, you're adding a little bit less than $1 to the price of each eyeshadow to actually have something to place them in. And as I mentioned, another option is to just grab a MAC palette, which is $8, so it's much cheaper. It's made of plastic, so it's sturdier, and the Z palettes are made of cardboard. So you can just grab a MAC palette and then purchase magnet strips from your local craft store. Michaels has them in store for relatively cheap. They're less than $5 each, and they're sets of sheets that you can just line the bottom of your MAC palette with and then just pop in the eyeshadows and they will stick. And I think that would be a cheaper alternative than grabbing the Z palettes, but it's up to you what your preference is. If you want to spend a little bit more for the Z palettes, or you want to cheap out a little bit, get a more sturdy palette and actually just do it yourself and grab magnet strips to stick these eyeshadows on. And don't bother buying the inserts for the MAC palettes because these eyeshadows don't fit, because the pan size is a little bit larger than a MAC eyeshadow, so it won't fit into the little slots of the inserts for the MAC palettes. So don't waste your money on these. They're not gonna fit. So these are definitely at a great price point of $5.99, even though there will be a price increase, I think, next year of $1, which will make them $6.99. They're still at a great price point in the market where they're less expensive than the more high-end brands or more mid-end brands like MAC and Urban Decay and all those other brands. So you're paying like half, sometimes way less than half the price of a MAC eyeshadow, which is $15. You're paying way less than half the price. And for an Urban Decay eyeshadow, you're paying far less, because an Urban Decay eyeshadow, I think, is $20. So you're definitely saving there. They are not quite drugstore prices, because Wet n Wild palettes you can get for $4.99. So they're not going to compete with Wet n Wild eyeshadows. These would compare more in price with a NYX single eyeshadow, but those you actually get in pot form. So you get the packaging and you don't have to buy an extra palette to put them in. So, I mean, it depends on how you look at it. I think these are still at a great price point where they're more affordable and they're still great quality. So, depends on how you look at it. Yeah, these are actually worth the price to me. So now that we've beaten that dead horse, let's move on to the actual product and performance. And this is probably where I'm gonna catch the most flack, because I don't agree with the majority of people that think these are the most amazing eyeshadows on the market. I think these are good eyeshadows. I don't think they're the greatest, and I don't think they're the best. There, I said it. The Makeup Geek eyeshadows, for me, I had a lot of trouble before I did this review. I wanted to love them so bad. Like, I wanted to fall head over heels in love. I really didn't. Makeup Geek eyeshadows ended up in a friend zone for me, which is the best way I can put it. Really good eyeshadows, really good company background, really great presence on the internet. I love Marlena. I have a history with Makeup Geek. I have that loyalty and that attachment to Makeup Geek. But I didn't fall in love. I was just like, oh, they're good eyeshadows, but I don't want to marry them. And that was hard for me because I truly wanted to love them. And there's some of the eyeshadows that I truly believe are great eyeshadows, and you should definitely grab them and have them in your collection. But for the most part, most of these eyeshadows fell a little flat, and that broke my heart a little bit. I cried a little bit inside when I was thinking about doing this review, and that's kind of why I delayed doing this review too, is because I was like, no, I gotta make them work. They're gonna be awesome, but I truly didn't feel that way, and I have to be truly honest with you guys. So when we go into the swatches, you're gonna get a sense of how I feel about each shade individually, but I don't think I completely gave my view of each and every shade, but you'll get a general idea. And I'm gonna just grab a few of the eyeshadows that I think are really great, that are really awesome, that I think you should definitely try out because they're worth trying out. And then the other ones are up to you if you want to test them out, because I like them. I think they're good eyeshadows. I just don't think they're great. And what I find interesting is that the eyeshadows that I think are the best in the collection are the matte eyeshadows. I mean, I have a love for matte eyeshadows, but matte eyeshadows are notorious for not performing well, and to me, the matte eyeshadows were among the best performance in this brand. So that says a lot, and most of them are neutral shades, so they will complement anyone's collection. They'll be great for beginners. So the shades that I'm going to mention are going to be more neutral and more matte in finish. First up, we have Creme Brulee, which is kind of a peachy matte shade. This is great for blending. It's really smooth and buttery, and it clings really well to the skin, so I think this one is a definite must. Peach Smoothie is also one of those creamy, light, peachy shades that's great for paler skin tones to use as a transition shade. So I think this one or Creme Brulee is a good one to have. Creme Brulee is a little bit darker, so depending on what your skin tone is, either one would be a great addition to your collection. Oh, and these are in no particular order. I'm just grabbing them from the palette as I go along. I think Preppy, which is more of a matte khaki brown shade, is also a good find, because you can't find this shade necessarily in all brands, and to find it at this price point is a good one. So if you're looking for a matte khaki shade for a neutral look, I think this one is a great one to try out as well. Excuse me. Next one is a very popular shade. This is Cocoa Bear, which is a red and brown shade. And this is great for any neutral look. It's great for deepening up looks. It's great for smoky eyes. So I think this one is a great one to add to anyone's collection. Another great one is Mocha, which is a more deep espresso neutral brown, and I think this one is also great for smoky eyes, for darkening up looks, especially if you love a neutral look. So Mocha is a definite addition to great addition to anyone's collection. Another one of their popular shades is Corrupt, which is a matte black. It does feel very gritty on the skin, so be mindful of that, and it does pack a punch, but it's a great black eyeshadow, especially if you're into deep, dark, smoky looks. This one is a great one to try. For beginners, I'd say be very careful with this eyeshadow. Just tap your brush very slightly into it, because it packs a punch. You can really go overboard and mess up a look, but it's a great color, great pigmentation. It's not the softest or creamiest, but it has great pigmentation, and if you're looking for that out of a black eyeshadow, this is a great one to pick up. Drama Queen is another one of those that I like. It's a rich, dark burgundy shade. It has a little bit of sparkle in it, which makes it a little bit more creamy, a little bit more blendable. If you're into rich burgundy shades and you're looking for one to add to like a vampy look, this is a great shade as well, and it's a little bit of a different take on a black, so you don't have to use black. You can use this to deepen up a look rather than using black. Also, if you're looking for a deep burgundy shade, I think Burlesque is another one that you should grab. This is a nice creamy shade. It's nice and buttery, applies really well, and blends really nicely. Another one is Bada Bing, which is a deep bronzy brown shade with bronzy sparkle throughout it. This one is really smooth as well, applies really well. It blends really nicely. It's a great shade for deepening up any look. Galaxy is another one of my favorites. This is a charcoal shade. If you're into charcoal smoky eyes, which make great smoky eyes by the way, this one is a nice one to grab. It's rich, it's creamy, it applies really well. I also like Stealth, which is a matte cement gray shade. It's hard to find gray shades on the market that don't lean too blue, so this one's a nice matte gray shade to try out. Adding a little bit of color to the mix, Pixie Dust, I think, is so richly pigmented. It applies beautifully. It's really pretty. It's creamy. So if you like bright, sour apple green shades, this is a great one to test out as well. Keeping with the colors, your Lemon Drop is this bright yellow gold shade. I think this is so pretty. It's so divine, but it's not for the subtle of heart. If you want a nice, bold yellow gold shade, this is a really pretty one to pick up. And then I think anyone should have an orangey shade in their collection. This is Chickadee, which is a muted orange shade. It's more toned down than a bright orange, but it works well for a transition color to add a little warmth to any look. So this one is also a very creamy shade that applies really well. Envy is a rich, deep forest green shade. If you're into dark greens, this one is a perfect one. It's really smooth, really blendable, builds up really nice. It has great pigmentation. And then we have Gold Digger, which is a light muted gold shade. This one is also very creamy, applies really well. I think this one is a great gold shade to have in your collection. Moon Dust is one of those neutral shades that has a little bit of interest to it because it's creamy, it has a little bit of dimension, has some shimmer. It's a very interesting taupey shade, and I think this one is one of the best ones in the collection. And then last up we have Cosmopolitan, which is a creamy peachy gold shade. This is great for a highlight, a pop of interest on the inner tear duct or on the center of the lid. This works really well as an all-over color too. It's a nice addition to any collection really. And as I mentioned before, I think one of the strong points of the Makeup Geek eyeshadows would be the neutral shades, and especially the matte neutral shades. So I went ahead and swatched a selection of the neutral shades and the shades that I would recommend you pick up, specifically in the neutral range, and I swatched them next to similar colors so you could see the comparison on my skin tone and kind of equate it to your skin tone, and then use that to determine what colors may be best suited for your skin tone. So first up we have Beaches in Cream, which is a light peachy neutral shade. This is great for lighter to medium skin tones. This one has a little bit of a sheen to it, not too much. I would categorize it more of a satin than as a complete matte shade, but as you can see, it is a neutral beige shade. Then next to that we have Peach Smoothie, which is one of those popular shades, and for good reason. It's a great peachy nude beige shade. Does that make sense? It's a peachy beige, and it's great for blending in the crease, especially for lighter skin tones. If you have maybe a warmer skin tone, this works really well as a transition shade or a blend-in shade in the crease. And this one is a matte finish, so it works a little bit better than Beaches in Cream would, but I think both of them are great for lighter skin tone. Then next to that we have Creme Brulee. Creme Brulee is a deeper brown shade. It's more of a brown beige, and you'll see that peachy orangey undertone to it. This again works well for medium skin tones, even lighter skin tones to work as a kind of deepening shade in the crease. It will also work well on darker skin tone like myself for a blend-in shade because it is a little bit deeper. I really like this shade. Again, it's a matte finish, so it works really well for blending out crease colors and brow bone colors. Then next to that we have Purely Naked, which has a little bit of shimmer to it. It's not noticeable, but if I move my arm, you'll see the shimmer flecks kind of reflect the light. This one is not my favorite. It's a little bit powdery. These flecks cause it to be powdery, but if you see, it's more of a neutral brown beige than Creme Brulee, which has more of a peachy orangey undertone. Purely Naked is what I would describe as a blend-in crease shade for medium skin tone again. Then here we have Frappe, which is more of a neutral brown. So it's not as orangey as Creme Brulee, so you'll see it's more of a neutral brownish shade. This one kicks up a lot of loose dust, so you have to be mindful of that. This is one of those shades that has the loose dust, similar to Purely Naked. But this one is a deeper shade, works well for deeper skin tones, medium skin tones for like deepening up a look. So this one is a good option again, but then it has these shimmery flecks in it like Purely Naked does, so it's gonna cause some fallout and some issues as it gets a little bit powdery in the crease area. Then here we have Latte, which is a deeper neutral brown. It's actually more of a warm tone brown. As you can see, it's a little bit like a big brother of Creme Brulee. It's a deeper chocolatey brown, but it has that peachy orange undertone. This one is completely matte. This one sticks well to the skin. It will work well for a blend-in shade, especially on deeper skin tone, or even really great for smoky looks on medium to light skin tone. Where you want to have a darker brown transition shade, this one is a good option. I think this is one of my favorites. Now, these are more taupey shades, but they're popular, so I thought I'd swatch them anyway. This one is Taupe Notch, which is a brownie taupe shade. It has the silver flecks in it again that makes it a little bit powdery and dusty. As you can see, as I move my brush over it, it kind of moves around. So not my favorite shade. I really wish this one was better, since it's one of those shades people are going to gravitate towards because it's taupe, and people love taupes for neutral looks. Not a really well done shade here. And next to that we have Barcelona Beach, which I think is a better taupe shade. You can see they're very similar in tone. This one is a little bit more gray brown toned than Taupe Notch. I think this one is a better alternative. It's also a little bit powdery, but it adheres a little bit better than Taupe Notch, and it doesn't have those silver sparkles in it, so it's not gonna go all over the place. So I think Barcelona Beach is probably a better option. And then we have Hipster, which is more of a medium tone neutral brown. This one has, again, those silver flecks, and I'll move my brush and you see now the silver shows up because it is dusty, it is powdery. Again, not a really well done shade, but what are you gonna do? I think the majority of the shades from Makeup Geek have that little powdery effect that causes fade in and fallout. So not well done here either. Now we have Cocoa Bear, which is one of their most popular shades for very good reason. It's a matte red tone brown. This one is kind of a rusty brown. It's really pretty. It's completely matte, so there's none of that shimmer in it to cause that powderiness. And it applies very well to the skin. It is great for blending in the crease. People love this for deepening up looks, for adding that warmth. I love this color as well. I think it is a great shade. This is one of those that I would say is a must-have. And then last up in the neutrals is Mocha, which is the deepest brown that Makeup Geek has. And this is a deep neutral brown. It's one of those everyday useful browns that you have in your collection that's deep enough to use in the crease to deepen up a look without going with a full-on black, so you can get a smoky look with this brown. It's great for an all over chocolatey smoky eye. It's just a really great color. It's a matte shade as well, so it doesn't have that dusty effect that the other ones have. So these two I think are two of their best shades in the collection, best neutral shades. Along with Latte, I think these two shades are phenomenal. And also I love Peach Smoothie and Creme Brulee as well, these two matte shades. So these matte shades perform so much better than the shimmer shades, which is never the case. It's usually the opposite way around, which is funny. But mattes are stepping up their game. They're really coming into their own and really becoming some of those staple shades that people want in their collections. So I think if you can see the comparison, you can see which shades probably suit your skin tone a little better. So seeing them swatched on my skin will show you how they look on like a medium dark skin tone. They'll also show you how they'll probably apply on your eyes. So hopefully this is a good reference for those of you who wanted to see the neutral shades kind of swatched together. So by now I know you're wondering, so what don't you like about these eyeshadows? And honestly, they're good eyeshadows and they're really pigmented, but when you're working with eyeshadows, it's not just the pigmentation that you worry about. You worry about different things like blendability. How do they work with other eyeshadows? Do they need a primer to stick to the lids to show up true to color? Do they fade over time? Is there fallout? Can they stand on their own, and how do they mesh with other eyeshadows? And what I found with these eyeshadows, they're very pigmented, but they're pigmented to a fault, where when you apply them in a look, especially the shimmery shades, they overwhelm the look and they start to blend over other eyeshadows and take over the color of other eyeshadows. So if you're looking for dimension and you're trying to show different colors on the lid, you're gonna have trouble with these eyeshadows, especially the shimmery shades. They don't quite mesh well with others. Like, they can't blend in and cause a seamless blend with another eyeshadow. They're just going to overwhelm it and take over, and that's going to be the dominant color on your look, which can lead to muddiness on the lid. It can just look like one shade all over your lid, and that's not necessarily what you're going for. If those are the looks that you typically do, which is just one color over the lid and you don't want any dimension, then these eyeshadows won't have a problem for you. But if you're somebody who likes to have 5 different eyeshadows and you want to see all 5 different eyeshadows, you're gonna have trouble with these because they really overwhelm a look. And the shimmer shades are the ones that are the biggest culprit. The matte shades actually work much better than the shimmer shades. The matte shades can be a little overwhelming too, but they are more blendable with other colors and with themselves. So I can use transition shade, outer V shade, and I can show a little bit of separation between the colors. They blend together and don't overwhelm each other. So the matte shades are where I would invest rather than the majority of the shimmer shades, unless you're into that one color look, like that monochromatic look, then that's fine. But what I found with these eyeshadows is that they overwhelm the look. And now once you apply them and everything's all copacetic, as you go on throughout your day, they fade. And a lot of people are gonna disagree with me on this one, but I've tried these out, and over primer by themselves, over a base, they fade over time. Within 4 or 5 hours, the color, the intensity that I had initially is no longer there. They kind of dull down, and I don't know if that's because of the formula and mixing with a primer, or if that's just by virtue of them not having enough of the bonding agents and binding agents that you need in an eyeshadow. You know, it's all well to have a pigmented eyeshadow, but if there are no binding and bonding agents that you need to have them stick to your lid and stay on true to color, not just stick to your lid and stick to primer and base, but stick to each other. So the powder particles still need to stick to each other. And I found, as you will see in the swatches, that the powder particles will lay on top of each other and kind of dust off. And that will cause fading. So as they dust off, there'll be fallout on your face. They will fade over time, and that's just not the best formula at all. So if you're using it for a quick look where you're only going to use it for 4 or 5 hours, maybe tops, then no problem. But if you're wearing these for an entire day, they're going to be faded. If you intend to have this look show up bright and vibrant as it did at 8 o'clock in the morning, at 5 o'clock, it's not gonna happen. And it looks great on Instagram photos because you take those pictures and you're done, right? 5 minutes, okay, that's great, they look great. But as you wear them, you'll find that they fade. And this is what I don't like about like Instagram and internet photos. They look beautiful and you can alter them and filter them to make them look beautiful on camera and beautiful in photos. But what do they actually do in real life? Do they look like that in real life at the end of the day? Not necessarily, and that's what I think a lot of people have missed and have not accounted for with these eyeshadows. Initially applied, once you get the blend right and they don't overwhelm everything, they can look really beautiful, but at the end of the day, guess what? They fade. And I found that, and I've tested these eyeshadows, tried to make them work, tried to use them with primer, without primer, with a base, without a base, various different bases, various different primers, and I still found the same problem. The eyeshadows just don't live up to my expectations. And it saddened me, and that was the reason I didn't get to test these eyeshadows as quickly as I wanted to, because I found myself gravitating towards other eyeshadows and wanting to use other eyeshadows and overlooking Makeup Geek altogether, which is sad in and of itself. They're in my collection and they're beautiful to look at, but I don't reach for them. And when I don't reach for an eyeshadow, that's when I know I don't love it. If you see my other videos, you'll see me reaching for my Makeup Forever eyeshadows a whole lot. Why? Because I love them. They work well. I know what to expect from them and I know they're gonna perform really well. The Makeup Geek eyeshadows just didn't do that for me, and I don't find myself reaching for them, which is sad. Hopefully you've made it through this video and you've seen the swatches and decided what eyeshadows you want to try, if you want to try any of the eyeshadows. And I hope I've been thorough enough to give you enough information to go forth and conquer the Makeup Geek world. They have good eyeshadows. They're a great company. I will always support Marlena, but again, being true to myself and being true to my channel, I have to be honest with you. And hopefully you guys appreciated the honesty and won't just go off on me in the comments. So hopefully this video helped you guys in deciding what eyeshadows to check out from Makeup Geek if you're interested. And maybe I've given you a little food for thought when it comes to the Makeup Geek eyeshadows. So until my next video, which will be very soon, I'll talk to you. And as usual, links will be below to everything that I've discussed, my Instagram, my Twitter, and my Facebook, where you can follow me along. And I'll put all the details of the eyeshadows below as well, where you can find them and the different shades that I recommend. So I'll talk to you soon. Bye.